Okay, holla back at you, guy. All right, we are back. I was just I stopped the recording to create the recording file, and then I started a new recording. So I hope you'll bear with me. Let's continue. See what's going on with the guide here. Like, what's our dude doing? As they creep ever closer, I can't stay silent any longer.
Your safety is most important. Consider retreating.
Nah, he knows what he's doing. He doesn't face me, but replies,
I cannot do that. Nixi recognized signs of weakness. Backing away will only increase the odds of them attacking.
oh. Dude. I had a run where Kikka died, and yeah, it's because when there was a point where we had tripped and the Nixi was like right on us after we lit our lantern after it had gone out, and the thing that I had done was I had Kikka run off as she was being confronted by the prowler, and yeah, it grabbed her. It was a sign of weakness. And then when we stared it down and we were showing a sign of strength, and it didn't chase after us. So that's why that worked. Huh. Okay, I see you, game. I see you. I grip my lantern tighter as I swallow hard. What can I do? As if to answer my own question, a thought whispers into my mind, and I look down at the lantern in my hand. I could throw it. As long as I don't let it go too far down the shore, it doesn't seem plausible that a Nix could take it. But if I do lose the lantern, especially after Margaret lost hers only moments ago, then... Oh shoot. Let me save. Oh, dude. Like, all these safety saves right now, I'm just like... I know it's over the same file, but there were no choices that happened here. This is... Right? Well, now I'm thinking, I'm overthinking things. There were no other choices, right? There were no other choices that happened there. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with yeah. I think what we should do, we should trust the guide to know that he knows what he's doing. Let's not lose another lantern, because that is our lifeline. We need that, especially with 3 people. Having only the guide's lantern would be like, it would be a huge setback. You know, it would be tremendous setback, and we may not be able to come back from that. So let's not throw the lantern. In fact, if we throw it or even toss it even a little bit, maybe it shatters and breaks. So we're gonna watch. I can't act rashly here. The guide has managed through every situation we've been through, as well as countless others we did not bear witness to. I resolve to continue with what we planned and keep my position. Without flinching, the guide keeps hold of our position on the waterline. I periodically switch between watching him, the others, and the rest of the shore. As I scan the forest, there's a stinging groan. Was that the guide? It can't be. I stand rigid in shock, a painful, prickling sensation going down my back before whipping around to face the truth. He's crouched low on the ground, staring forcefully at a group of Nixi head-on. There's a whole other group of monsters rapidly crawling back into the water. Dude, did they grab the guide? I thought this dude knew what he was doing. Like, he was the guide. What's going on here? Did they... Ooh. Alright, what is going on?
Hey!
I step forward with a shout, but he puts out one hand to halt me. I do not go further. I and those creatures motionlessly watch for what he will do. Oh, they didn't grab him yet. He just made a sound. His fingers curl tightly around the upper half of his staff. With great effort, he begins to rise to his unstable feet. Oh, they tried dragging him, but then, like, he released a shout and they got startled or something? The moment he is fully upright, the guide aggressively swings his lantern at the encroaching Nixi. He catches them completely off guard, and they scatter to rejoin the rest in the black depths. Alright, so he did know what he was doing. He's good. The guide crumples back into the sand unceremoniously. I can hear his ragged breaths as he regains his composure. Okay, so dude is a person, because they did attack him, so he isn't working with them. Alright. I'm starting to fall on his side now. He isn't working with them, and he's not a ghost, because why would they try to eat ghosts, right? And like, he's finally got a ragged breath, which means that like he's kind of lost his like it says, he's lost his composure. So we're learning so much today. He tugs at one side of his cloak, bringing it closer around himself. It covers up a dark growing stain creeping through his right pant leg. Even while collapsed, he seems compelled to hide his fragility. Yeah, I mean, it is his job to appear confident in what they're doing, because, like, this crossing is so dangerous, and there's only one person with any reputation for being able to get anybody across, and it's him. And if he shows weakness or fragility, what does that do to the people that he's leading across? It's gonna mess with their minds. They're gonna start questioning themselves, questioning him, and things are gonna go bad, like with Lou. So yeah, the dark growing stain creeping up through his right pant leg. Wait a minute. Reading that back, it's creeping through his right pant leg. So is it growing? Is it blood? Did he get scratched? At first I was thinking, the Nixi grabbed his leg, right? And because they're in the water and like they cause the clothing to get wet, and they cause it to like gain moisture and stuff. Like it happened to Kikka when she got grabbed earlier, but they're saying a dark growing stain that's creeping through his pant leg, and he was fallen to the ground. So I wonder if they swiped at him, because they've got giant claws. Kikka was describing how they were clawing up the shore. So what if they clawed at his foot, which would make it so that he would have a tougher time crossing the bridges on the lake? I wonder if he's going to be the one that goes down this time. I wonder. Is this admirable or saddening? I do not know anymore. I mean, yeah, it could go both ways. It's sad that he has to hide this and he can't accept help or expect help. But is it also admirable that like he's trying to keep everyone else assured that they can still cross with his help? Like, which is it? Which way should we go? I think it's a little bit of both. It's admirable that he wants to help people get across, but it has to be his terms, because he can't risk his own life, right? Which is why he has to make rules, and you have to abide by his rules. But it's also kind of sad that like he's alone and he can't rely on anybody else, because he's the guy. He's the only guy. The guide roughly pulls himself back onto his feet and forces himself to remain standing. The rest of us must remain strong as well if we are to survive this night. Gripping my lantern, I watch over everything and everyone in sight vigilantly. After an untold period of time, the water begins to stir. There's an unusual gurgling, a sound I never thought I would be relieved to hear. Slowly, creakily, the bridges make their nightly appearance. Finally? But are they going to have enough time to cross? Is the guide going to be able to to walk at a pace that'll let them get by, because there's not much time that is allowed or afforded to you to get across. Sinnlos is an overwhelmingly cruel environment. This island had felt like a safe haven such a short time ago, but that has been twisted to the point where I am grateful for a chance to return to the maze, and we may not even reach that. More Nixi are breaching the water and wrenching themselves onto the sand. The guide signals to all of us.
We have to leave!
Yeah, get your butts over here! Thanks to his position on the shore, the guide is able to board the bridges without confrontation. For the rest of us, however, the Nixi begin to crowd the opening. It appears they want to get on themselves. We have desperately little time before we'll be cut off from the guide. I look to my lantern. Will this light alone be enough to cause them to disperse?
Come on!
Let's go! Margaret's shout cuts straight through my thoughts. Oh! Good job! Good job, Margaret! She's advancing towards me, holding onto a heavy stick with the end set on fire as a makeshift torch. The sight is striking. Yeah, she's got it. She knows what's up.
It won't last long! We need to get through now!
That's what she said. She needs not say any more. The three of us push our way forward. As we advance, Margaret relays her plan.
We'll toss the branch when we get close. The smoke spewing off this thing is making it even harder to see than usual. So you tell me when it's time, Kikka.
All right, we'll do that.
I can do that.
The shore approaches closer and closer, and every single one of the Nixi turn their attention towards our small group. Margaret yelps. The flames leapt in the wind and singed her fingers. Oh man! Alright. I wasn't sure if, we need to run toward it first.
I can do that.
Damn it. Alright. Sorry. Maybe it's cheating that I was able to go backwards, but you know what? I don't care. It's my playthrough, okay? It's my playthrough. Alright, so we're going to tell her now. After alerting Margaret, she gives her all to hurl the flame ahead of us while avoiding setting the bridge itself on fire. The monsters flee from the torch. A path is clear. We waste not one moment sprinting towards the bridges. While the others near my side, I amble back into the maze. We don't stop until there is a considerable distance between us and the shore. It is there that we encounter the guide. Upon seeing his figure, I hide a sigh of relief. We haven't been left behind. Yeah, because he easily could have. He said he would leave them behind. Our arrival doesn't change the guide's empty expression. He doesn't say or do anything, instead allowing all of us to catch our breath. Bemelle starts to laugh incredulously through uneven breaths.
Such recklessness. I can hardly believe it worked.
Yeah, me too, bro. Me too. But between Kikka and her idea and Margaret's idea worked out. Although, if everyone had stayed ashore, maybe the combination of all three lanterns would have been fine, and we wouldn't have needed that torch. And they could have just gotten on the bridge and not needed to have the torch to disperse all of the Nixi to begin with. So maybe that was the better play. But it be what it be, right? Margaret chimes in, equally as amazed and exhausted.
I don't know how we managed to do nothing wrong. That feels far more fitting for this journey.
She's not wrong.
Yes, you could have burnt your fingertips off. Or perhaps the bridges could have gone up in flames.
And if we had listened to my initial one, that definitely would have happened. Margaret looks at him curiously. Bemelle gives her a wink.
That would have been the outcome if I was handling the torch, you think?
Yes. Margaret's lips quirk into a smirk.
Yes.
We're all friends now. We treasure the moment of triumph for a little more before the guide ends his silence.
We need to start walking. We've already lost much time as it is.
True dat, true dat. Almost as soon as he finishes his statement, he stumbles, nearly falling back down. Oh yeah, because he's been injured. His hand slipped down the shaft of his staff as he sinks to the ground. He gasps under his breath.
Are you all right? Is there anything we can do? I don't have much, but I could still clean and wrap it.
I take a few hurried steps closer. I reach my hands out towards him, which he curls away from like a barn cat. Oh, he's curling away from human touch. I wonder if it's because, like, maybe he's not working with the Nixi, but maybe he's still some other kind of entity that's not human. Or it could just be that he's terribly traumatized by his father, which they did talk about in the beginning, Garvin the Great or something like that. And they didn't like each other, but yet, I don't know, maybe there's like some serious childhood trauma and it causes him to like curl away from human touch. I don't know. He turns his gaze up to me and shakes his head.
I tended to it myself when you were still on the shore.
Sure you did. Sure you did. Moments tick by as I stare at him, growing ever more nervous. As horrible as his injury is, the larger situation at play is dire for all. It is a weight bearing down on each of us, threatening to bring the entire group to its knees rather than only our lead. We can't stay here.
Are you able to walk?
That is the $1,000,000 question right now. He eyes his feet with gritted teeth and clenches his staff tighter.
Not like this.
A beat of quiet passes before he continues, his voice slightly ragged.
I have a way. It will be enough to get to the other side.
What is that way? I'm almost afraid to find out. Shaking, he removes a hand from his staff and reaches into his cloak, searching for something. I have little other choice but to watch as he searches his pockets. The panic that we thought was past starts creeping back in. He retrieves a small vial with a viscous liquid inside, swishing it slightly as he holds it up. I peer at it curiously.
Drinking this will numb the pain. I'll be able to ignore that my leg is injured for the time being.
Okay, so what is it? Is it a narcotic? Are you gonna be high? Like, I mean, is it like extra strength Tylenol? Like, what is this, dude? I analyze the vial hesitantly. I'm pensive as I mull over the possible other effects it could have. Something that potent would be a miracle drug if there were no downsides along with the positives. Yeah, exactly. If it's a narcotic, yeah, that would be an incredible pain reliever. But like, he could be tripping, he could be high. If it's just Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol or whatever, like, you'd still be feeling it. It would be less, but it's not like it wouldn't be there.
Is that safe? It must cause drowsiness or have some kind of impact on you. Not to mention, pushing your leg so hard when it's in that state could permanently ruin it.
Yeah, true. I mean, have you seen the drug commercials these days? Like, they come on and like, talk to your doctor about such and such a drug. It can cause drowsiness, sleepiness, don't operate heavy machinery. It could cause like all these other kinds of other conditions, and most prevalently vomiting and diarrhea. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, but all these drugs, like, oh, it's a miracle drug, except there's like 50 things that could happen to you if you take it. He regards me as his lip twists part way into a snarl. Ooh, he's not happy about that.
My leg isn't broken. It will heal without issue once I'm able to treat it. In order for that to happen, however, I need to live.
Okay. You know, I was slightly starting to lean into the whole, like, the guide is a person, he's cool with people and stuff, but now, like, usually usually, I'm not gonna say it's always the case, but usually, if you're vulnerable and you're in such a position, and people are like, "Hey, are you cool, man?" Like, usually people aren't like, "Yeah, whatever," it's like blah 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 blah. But also, like, he's saying like it'll heal just fine. Like, does he actually mean that? Like, will it magically heal because like he's a ghost and he like reforms every day or something? Or is he just saying it'll heal, but whatever, it'll be fine, I'll be fine, whatever? And like that's not actually what happens. He's just kind of saying that. I flinched slightly. He wouldn't usually snap at such a question. The pain must truly be getting to him.
What about side effects? You didn't say what they were.
Yeah, because he didn't want to. Bemelle steps in closer to the guide, his question harsh enough to be a demand. Bemelle's trust in the guide has steadily declined since the first night. With the way he's acting, I cannot ignore the sense that it may come to a head before the journey is over. Yeah, that is foreshadow. That is definitely going to be happening. For sure. But will it result in us having to make a choice? I don't know. And at this point, like, we've gotten so far, I kind of don't want to find out. I just want to get everyone to the other side, you know what I'm saying? The guide levels a deeply unimpressed look at Bemelle. He then sighs, raising the bottle up so that it's more visible. He swishes it almost impatiently.
It can slow reflexes and cloud the mind.
Oh. Ah, jeez. Oh, man. I can already see it. We're gonna have to make a decision. He's gonna say something, and we now have the thought that his mind could be clouded. He could make the wrong choice. He could be making the wrong choice about what the right decision is, and we have to trust him or not trust him. And we can't trust his reflexes to be what they were. Like earlier when he was like making that turn when they were running, like he was like an acrobat or something during that point. But also when he threw whatever the thing he pulled out of his cloak was that burnt the bridge, like he was doing that like really, like you needed reflexes for that. You needed to be on top of your game. And now all of that is out the window. We can't rely on that anymore? Like, what? What? Immediately, Bemelle's eyes widen incredulously. Margaret quietly gasps, bringing a hand to her mouth. The guide heaves another sigh, though the pain in it makes it sound more akin to a groan. He is still impatient with the group's delays as the time marches on.
I will only be taking half a dose. It won't ease all of the pain. However, it will reduce the odds that I will be notably impacted by any adverse effects.
Reduce, but not eliminate. And he'll still be in pain, so pain can do some weird stuff and some bad stuff too, so that stuff could still happen, you know?
I know how you feel about others coming close to you. But is that truly the best solution to a situation like this? You need to be clear-headed here.
For sure. Margaret looks at the bottle, and then at him, skeptically. Bemelle takes another heavy step forward. He meets the guide's eyes stonily.
No, you can't drink something like that. I'll carry you.
That sounds very decisive. I don't know if he'll allow you to. He seems... yeah, I think I'm leaning toward, like, very heavily traumatized. Bemelle presses forward, encroaching on the guide's personal space. The guide visibly shrinks back again. However, he can't hobble much further away due to his injured leg.
That won't...
Before the guide can put forth another word, Bemelle brazenly snatches the bottle straight from his hand. Everyone is stunned to silence by Bemelle's actions. Even the guide has trouble expressing any sort of emotion beyond furious disbelief. Bemelle ignores all of our reactions and smiles triumphantly, holding the bottle like a trophy.
have made it very clear that at the first inconvenience, you would leave us all for dead in the water. As you are now, that is impossible.
Okay, the reason why I'm finding that funny, because, yeah, like Bemelle said, straight from the beginning, right from the beginning, the guide's like, if you fall behind, that's your fault, you're dead. If you won't follow, you're dead. If you can't keep up with me, you're dead. And then he's like, and now that he's in his own precarious situation, like, it's like, now Bemelle is like rubbing it in his face. Yeah, try to leave us now. Try to leave us for dead. Try to make it so that, you can survive without us. Yeah, I didn't think so. That's a funny thought, right? He's just like smugly rubbing it in his face. Like, yeah, there you go. The guide narrows his eyes at Bemelle, who only gives him a taunting grin. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, like you said, he's just rubbing it in.
So, this isn't about any possible adverse effects. You want to leave me injured and immobile on purpose.
No, we want you to come along with us. We're not like that. You are the person that would leave people behind, but we wouldn't. The only reason we left Lou behind was because of you, who would allow us to die if not for following you. Bemelle shrugs, then returns to smirking almost cockily.
If there were no side effects, I likely would have thought nothing of it. However, mentioning those risks triggered something in my mind. You've never done what's best for the group. You only choose the safe option for yourself.
He's spouting truth. Spouting truth right there.
With that in mind, I can't exactly trust you when you tell us that the medicine is truly our one option. Now, even if carrying you means that you will be more at risk than otherwise, I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
Bemelle chuckles derisively and rolls his eyes while spinning the medicine vial between his fingers.
I hope you're proud that I'm following your advised method of not considering others, guide.
Oh, Bemelle, man, you are the man right now. Despite Bemelle's sarcastic jab, the guide returns to his usual empty, deadpan expression and makes no attempt at rebuttal.
There, he accepts it. What of you?
I accept. Let's go. Let's do it. Bemelle then turns to look at us curiously. Margaret snorts slightly at the inquiry.
That stunt was so ill-advised, I never expected even you to attempt something like it. What if the guide had another bottle with him? We would have all been abandoned by now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But, Margaret, yeah, if he had another vial and he had taken it, he would have probably attempted to leave us, but he also would have had a clouded mind, and that might not have been very good for him either. And if he didn't take enough to leave his mind clouded, it would still cause him pain, and he would not be able to run off as quickly. And everyone except for maybe you might have been able to catch up to him. So, I mean, it's not as bad as you think it could have been. Bemelle pulls a mischievous smirk.
I'd have taken that bottle too.
Oh man, so cocky. Love you, guy. I love you, man. Margaret shakes her head at his response. However, she doesn't seem too upset over this. She seems more at ease than she has been for quite some time. Bemelle seems rather pleased by the reactions thus far, grinning widely at us.
If anyone is worried about my ability to carry the guide for the rest of the night, you shouldn't be. Rest assured, a willowy man like the guide won't slow me down whatsoever.
Well, I mean, he is lithe. He's thin, but he's agile, and he isn't like bulky with muscle, but I mean, he's capable. He puffs his chest out proudly. Margaret can't suppress the laugh that bubbles up from her chest. She waves off Bemelle's boasting with a silly grin on her face.
You are an absolute buffoon.
But a lovable one at that. Bemelle faces me expectantly. The guide also levels a steely gaze in my direction. We may be having a bit of fun getting the upper hand on the guide for a change, but if we don't go back now, we never will. Though, do we truly need to? All that matters is reaching the shore safely. What really is the best in this situation? Okay, we have to make a decision then. Alright, in that case, I'm going to have to save. And let's save here. This was the fire one. I think we made the right decision. I think the other one, we die. I don't know that, but I feel like that's the case. So let's go with this being a new save. Alright. Let's do it. Bemelle's grin widens ecstatically at my lack of resistance. I feel nerves turning my insides jittery as I think over doing something so drastic. No matter the fear, this has to be done. Even if the guide can be trusted to show us the correct path, he is not reliable when it comes to anything else. If we let him do as he wishes, it's very possible that at some point during the night, he will leave us to die. That is so true. So very true.
I believe you are capable of carrying the guide to the other side. That seems like the least risky option we have for the group at large.
Also, the side effect, or the other pro, is that the guide has his own lantern. And if Bemelle is carrying the guide, Bemelle thus has his own lantern as well. And because Kikka will no longer be shepherding Bemelle, she can do that for Margaret, who both does not have her lantern anymore, but also doesn't have her glasses. So that would serve as like double duty. So this seems like the best option all around. Bemelle lets out a small triumphant laugh and tosses the vial over to me. I catch it and quickly tuck it away in my pocket. I'll return it to its rightful owner once we've made it to the shore. Bemelle steps back up to the guide's side, who still shrinks slightly beneath him. The guide narrows his eyes as Bemelle grows near.
Fret not. I will take proper care to lift you. This isn't the first time I've carried an injured traveling partner. I'll have to hoist you over my shoulder since we've still got a ways to go. I ask that you don't make too much of a fuss about it.
The guide stares at him plainly.
I'm hardly in a position to resist. You've taken away my ability to do anything but be dependent on you and your decisions.
Well, we're still going to have to rely on your ability to make decisions on which paths to get through the maze of bridges. So you still ultimately have the power, because if you do what is best for the group to get across, you will ultimately allow yourself to get across as well. But if you try to play the group, you will share the same fate. So at the end of the day, it's all on you, guide. You're the one that's still calling the shots.
Even though this path was only taken because I am not someone you care for rather than true pragmatism, it is a better mindset to have on these bridges than how you've acted thus far.
So slight praise coming from him, although it is true. It is better to act in a manner that is logical rather than, oh, we're doing this just because we care for you. But I mean, there's a little bit of that, but yeah, this does seem to be the most logical conclusion to go by. Bemelle snorts out a sarcastic laugh.
Thank you for your approval.
He bends down and grabs the guide, lifting him over his shoulder. Bemelle is careful not to bump the guide's legs. He still winces in pain, clenching his staff tightly as he jostled back and forth. However, the arrangement is quickly settled and Bemelle is ready to begin walking with the guide in tow. Margaret has a hand over her mouth, looking like she can't decide whether to laugh or weep at the state of our journey. Yeah, things are pretty dire, but at the same time, it is pretty ridiculous.
I I can scarcely believe that this is the solution we've come to. With the way the guide acts, though, I suppose that I shouldn't be too surprised people are willing to turn on him this way.
Hey, what goes around comes around. That's what I say.
Continue down this bridge. We cannot remain here any longer.
See? Now he's got to act in his own interest, but they have to align with the group in order for him to survive in addition. Bemelle gives him a nod and starts to walk across the soggy boards as the new head of the group. We walk along the bridges together in the stillness. The guide's occasional instruction of what paths to take is the only conversation that reverbs in the night. Our steps echo throughout the bridges, and I'm more acutely aware of just how many paths there are spread across the lake than ever. Even the voices of the lake are quiet, but it's no consolation, for in their place is the otherworldly squishing sounds of the prowlers contorting their aquatic forms across the boards. It's impossible to tell exactly where they're coming from. The sound seems to echo in every direction at once. All I know is that it's too close for comfort. I do my best to ignore the feeling, but the sound still fills me with constant lingering dread. We cross a long path and come across a straight sight. It's a bridge which curves in and becomes more narrow in the middle than usual. Eyeing the dubious bridge warily, I grow nervous at the idea of getting that close to the edge. Bemelle's pace slows before coming to a stop directly in front of the foreign way. For once, he looks to the guide for this matter. The guide appraises the bridge, looking intensely down the path ahead.
Normally, it would be possible to cross a narrow bridge if one is careful with how they step. We can't continue as we are. Our combined weight is too much.
Ooh, okay. So, yeah.
Is there another path?
This is our path.
Bemelle's eyes widen at the explanation before gritting his teeth and speaking with the tone coated with suspicion.
So, you knew from the start we'd reach a point where putting you down was the only option.
I mean, that is certainly a possibility. He is the guide. He does know the way. He could easily have chosen a path that led in this direction where he could still get across to the other side and also screw everyone over. That is definitely a possibility. The guide's silence is confirmation enough for Bemelle. He scoffs derisively, then purposely strides forward, planting his feet on the mouth of the narrowed bridge.
Unfortunately, that plan isn't going to work. I may not look the part, but I'm quite light on my feet. If this is our path, then prepare to cross it with me.
Ooh, he's just defiant right to the end. The guide still does not speak. He looks completely unfettered. Bemelle doesn't take kindly to the guide's dismissiveness. He lifts his boot for a second time, stretching it out ahead of his body and threatening to move even further down the narrow way. Bemelle is bluffing. Even he isn't reckless enough to cross the bridge holding another person, but I can see why he'd go this far. The guide will not open up easily. I know without a doubt Bemelle will be careful, and he won't waste this opportunity to find a better way for all of us. I need to do what I can to make certain the guide doesn't call his bluff.
Please, you have to try to think of another way. There are so many branches. At least one other must be able to take us to the shore. I worry the worst will occur if this continues.
The guide waits an agonizing moment more.
There is another path. It is longer, however, and prowlers are a far more common sight.
Well, I guess we're just gonna have to go with it, aren't we? Bemelle immediately lets out a bark of laughter. He is feeling awfully validated in this moment. It seems the guide had intended to keep this information from us, if he could get away with it. I shake my head at the guide's warning. We can't allow him to move freely now. Not after learning that. Dude, like, now I'm getting back to this point, right? I made this thought way back. I'm like, maybe he's not. I had made the thought that maybe he's working with the Nixi and he's feeding them. But what if he's not working with them? Because that's because if he was working with them, they wouldn't have swiped at his leg, right, and injured him. But what if he actually is actually feeding them, and that's why he and his father didn't get along, because his father did not approve of the things he was doing. Basically, he's a serial killer. If he's feeding people to the Nixi, like, he knows what's up, what's going on, but he has to be careful, and he just happened to, I don't know, loosen his guard or something. He got this one time. But yeah, he wanted to, I mean, he was gonna leave these guys to a point where they're gonna die, because this was his plan. Lead them down this road, down this path. He gets taken off. He gets to take his medicine, probably just shoot off, and maybe leave them to die. But also, maybe he only did that because he was angry of being touched, being carried. I don't know. I don't know enough about the guide to be able to make a decision one way or the other about that.
It will still be more manageable than this bridge.
True that. At least for the group. For him on his own, it probably would have been his best choice. Margaret stares on as though she can hardly believe what's happening before her. Still, she remains quiet. Despite the guide's initial opinion, he sighs.
Go back a small ways. You will find a branch heading west. Take it.
With a satisfied grin, Bemelle readjusts the guide on his shoulders and moves to be the head of the party again, leading the way back. We trek through where we came. Along the way, Bemelle tries to make light conversation. He's recounting the battle in which I earned my title. The guide has his focus elsewhere. It is doubtful he is hearing a word Bemelle says. Margaret seems engaged by the tale, at the very least. As he ends the story, he turns to me and smiles brightly.
Because of Kikka's status, she has the option to choose which missions to take rather than have to do whatever she is told. Despite that, she accepts each task assigned to her. Our entire village is awfully proud to have her.
Well, I mean, she's constantly trying to prove herself. But, yeah, he's right. Like, if she earned that title, she did. And she gets to choose her missions, but I don't know if it's a sense of duty in addition to a sense of wanting to prove herself, wanting to keep proving herself to her own self. That's what keeps her accepting missions. I don't know, but yeah, if she earned that title, she deserves to keep it, and she has shown herself even through this journey to be very resourceful, to be resilient, and she still keeps on trucking. So that's really cool of her. And you know what? Good on Bemelle for like talking her up all the time. He's my man. My man. I smile lightly at the excessive praise Bemelle is happy to put on me.
You are always much too kind. Every guard does what's asked of them. I am no different from them, or you for that matter.
Bemelle chuckles airily at my words.
If there was nothing to admire about you, then I wouldn't do so. But the more I learn of who you are, the more I know for certain that I'm right about what I say.
Aww. Man, he's got a slick tongue, that guy. I feel myself fluster a bit under all the flattery. Bemelle has always had a natural camaraderie with the guards. Only now have I started to realize he has made an effort to be extra kind to me all this time. I look back at him, now spinning another riveting tale about my heroics, and am struck by how much of a thoughtful man Bemelle is. He seems completely dedicated to making sure I'm surrounded by pleasance, even in dark times such as these. Later on, our path weaving through the labyrinth of boards, Bemelle becomes uncharacteristically quiet. I look over to see that his breathing is heavy, carrying the guide is starting to take its toll. I feel the urge to say something, however I bite my tongue. That would only give the guide a reason to demand his medicine, and that's a situation neither Bemelle or I want. I'm watching as Bemelle's knees suddenly lock up, and he nearly stumbles forward. He catches himself and manages to stay on 2 feet, yet the guide starts to slip from his grasp. Bemelle tightens his grip and hoists him back up all the way onto his shoulders. The guide's face twists into a grimace of just being jostled. Bemelle attempts to mask his fumble with a laugh.
I hope you aren't falling asleep up there. You've got to stay on your toes, even if you aren't walking on them. You're leading the way.
Yeah, well, yeah, after a while, just like so much weight of a person, no matter how little the weight is, just a constant strain on you, like, will get on you. And who knows how long they've been walking. Like, it's supposed to take all night. Even holding a baby for even a couple of hours, that kills your arms, man. The guide scrunches his nose in another display of pain, or perhaps it is annoyance.
Why are you so eager to die?
Why are you such a douchebag?
Not sure where you got an idea like that from. I've already explained that I'm doing this precisely so we won't die. Preventing you from leaving us to those monsters is worth a little added weight.
That is totally true at this point, because we can't trust the guide to have our interests at heart, even if we are paying him or we were relying on him. He will do what's right for him and him first. If we happen to benefit from it, all the better, I guess. The guide clicks his tongue and sneers at Bemelle.
Letting me lead uninterrupted means there was a chance I could leave you behind, yes. However, that was a moderate risk compared to the enormous one you are taking right now by carrying another person. It is not you who benefited from this.
Actually, yes, it is us who is benefiting from this, because, yeah, like, we put more of a risk on ourselves by taking a different way than you would have wanted, but there is a huge risk to having you leave us behind, and we have seen that. Like, you just tried to take us on a way where you would have left us to die, so I feel even more justified that we took the action that we did. Although the game may have a differing opinion, but fortunately we have a save for that. Bemelle quirks an eyebrow at the guide.
The risk was lowered then. Good to have a confirmation on that.
There's a lull in the conversation as the guide quiets. He adds one more thought, and I must assume he intends it to be his last contribution to his argument.
A heroic end isn't something to strive for. It is a waste.
An end is an end, regardless. It doesn't matter. It's not a waste or whatever, because an end is an end. Bemelle shakes his head firmly.
There have to be those who are willing to work for more than themselves. If there aren't, then it won't be possible to build something greater than just a single person.
Yeah, we need to work together to be able to build great things. A singular person can make a big contribution, but it is the totality of everyone's efforts that make great strides. Like, if it wasn't for countries working together, we wouldn't have space travel, or space exploration rather. If it wasn't people working together, we wouldn't have technology or science. It is the scientific community being contributory to sharing knowledge and advancing knowledge together that we're able to have the advanced civilization that we have. Like, we can't be insular with just ourselves. We get stuck at a certain point, and we can't advance. We can't grow greater. I always believed that I had no choice but to look at the world like the guide. However, I wonder if perhaps I don't. Pragmatism isn't the only method that holds worth. After that exchange, the mood darkens. There's a definite shift between Bemelle and the guide, though before it can escalate further, that distinct clicking noise becomes eerily apparent. I stiffen immediately and search around wildly with my eyes. Margaret also slows to listen nervously. The sound creeps down one of the branches of bridge connected to our set of boards. Despite how tired he must feel, Bemelle hastily quickens his pace. The rest of us follow. After some time, we break away from the noise for the nearest prowler. Before we can relax, that erratic clicking, squelching sound coils forth yet again from ahead of us. We continue to push forward. However, no matter how fast we move or what bridges we take, we can't seem to escape the stalking sounds of these prowlers. Every so often, I turn my head to look behind us to see if there's anything. Sometimes it does seem as though a crooked shadow is following us. In others, it doesn't appear as though there's anything at all.
Go down that path.
The guide points feebly towards another branch with a hand that's even paler than usual. Is he dying? Bemelle nods and walks down the crossroad chosen by the guide. He has been giving directions more frequently, and Bemelle is following them without hesitation. The prowlers grow louder, and now, in addition to the squishing sounds, chattering in the lake begins to bubble up. It's beginning to feel as though we're completely surrounded. Tensions are high, and the situation is growing hectic. Margaret becomes more frantic with each step. Bemelle is having troubles keeping collected, and I am trying to see everywhere at once as the sounds of the Nixi rising from the lake swiftly surrounds us. Eventually, regardless of his best efforts, Bemelle has to stop to catch his breath. He inhales heavily, heaving gasp after gasp as sweat drips from his forehead.
We cannot stay here. We'll be trapped by prowlers.
Through ragged breaths, Bemelle quips back at the guide.
Unless you've lost the ability to give directions, that's not going to happen.
He starts to trudge on the path again with heavy, hard-hitting steps. Margaret looks at Bemelle with concern, bringing her hands towards him half-heartedly as she debates over how to help. I debate with myself over whether I should say anything or not. I could help, but that might be better saved for when we're out of such a dicey situation. We don't have any time to waste here. Let Kikka carry him.
Bemelle, you
Actually,
can hold
let me
onto
go.
my lantern and
Let me go back and save. Like I've got some bad feelings going on here, bad mojo. But yeah, let's continue, and we're gonna carry him.
Bemelle, you can hold onto my lantern and I will take the guide. I can't manage for as long as you have. However, that would be better than pushing yourself to the limit.
Yeah, because if we gotta run, we gotta run. And a fresh Kikka is better than a tuckered out Bemelle. And then we can switch later if we need to. I give him a withering look. Bemelle returns my gaze, clearly conflicted. After a moment, he releases a sigh. Bemelle knows that the weight of this task isn't his alone. He cracks a smile at me.
I would appreciate that. The two of us make for a much better pair than he and I. Does our guide agree with that assessment?
But also, Bemelle was talking about, hey, you gotta look out for more than just yourself. And Bemelle needs to, allow Kikka to see that and live that herself. She wants to help and participate and carry the guide and give him a break in order to make things better for the group as a whole. So let's do that. The guide gives us no answer and simply turns away. I smile awkwardly back at the both of them. Bemelle places our injured lead down. I walk closer and offer my lantern to Bemelle. He puts his hand over mine instead. It rests there, the top of a pile with myself and the lantern handle underneath momentarily. His fingers are trembling. After that brief gesture of affection, he takes the lantern with care. He then backs up with an encouraging grin on his face. I move to the guide and nod at him.
I will help you now.
The guide doesn't resist and makes no complaints over the switch. He accepts his fate as an inevitability. Although, I'm just thinking right now, Kikka has the She has the vial on her, and if she is carrying him, he could easily grab the vial, possibly without her knowing, and leave everyone to die. Ooh, that would be bad. Super bad. I pull on the man's lanky limbs to hoist him up onto my shoulders. The guide makes a few murmuring sounds of discomfort. That quickly passes as he settles again. I can see Bemelle is already breathing easier now that the load has been taken off his back. Like, literally off his back.
We need to get out of here.
There is no disagreement, with each of us being likewise eager to leave this place. There are still swarms of prowlers all over. The guide points an arm over my shoulder.
Turn down that branch.
We walk at a brisk pace down a new bridge. After what feels like an endless creeping nightmare, the lake grows quiet again. We are finally left alone once more. Our group stops to breathe, still reeling from how close we came to the edge. Ooh! The sun's coming! The sun's coming up. As if to mock our attempts to feel calm, the light of the sun starts to peek through the mist. We're running out of time. It shakes me to think this coming light is the true reason we were freed from the prowlers. I steel myself for the answer to the question I'm about to ask.
Is the shore close?
We will have to run.
Yeah, well then it's a good thing we took over from Bemelle, because Bemelle didn't seem like he was about to be able to run. I swallow down my dry throat. The weight of the guide feels much more overwhelming now. We're still ragged with exhaustion from the trial we only just survived. However, I stand firm to address them. I will not let anything drag us down.
We're almost there. We are going to make it.
Yeah, we will. Bemelle smiles boldly at my words. Margaret nods a little shakily, yet she also seems determined to not be left behind. I readjust the guide and tighten my grip on him. Then I begin to sprint down the bridge. As we run down a long stretch, the faint silhouette of land comes into view. I nearly can't believe that it's there when I see it. I ignore the pounding, aching feeling in my legs and pump them as hard as I can, focusing on the clear goal in the distance. We race against time as the sun rises even higher. Nearly all of the darkness has faded away. Even so, we don't stop. We keep pushing. The guide abruptly demands a change in direction. I start to take a sharp turn to the left when the added weight of his body causes me to tilt. Balance! Balance! I halt my steps and manage to keep myself from wobbling too much. Bemelle appears right at my side. His face is full of fear. I cannot blame him. That was a far closer call than I would have liked. A fragile smile breaks out past all the concern. He addresses the guide, who is still stubbornly clinging onto my back.
We're close enough to the end, I think. If Kikka gives the medicine back, would you be able to manage the rest of the walk on your own?
There isn't time for it to take effect.
Okay, well, I guess we're just gonna have to continue how we are. I try to steady my shaking legs. I've carried him far longer than I've ever needed to lift another person before, but it has to be done. We can't leave him here.
Well then, might I help you with that dead weight? I'll take one arm and you can keep the other.
I lift up my eyes to meet his. They shine confidently. Bemelle is a good man. Involving another person may be quite a risk, yet at this point, I feel it will be worth it. Between the two of us, we should have the strength to go on.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're close to the shore, and the sun is coming up, so the prowlers shouldn't be as much of an issue, so it should be fine. Unless, the bridges start to, narrow again. I slide the guide down one side to make it easier for Bemelle to take hold. He takes position as the final part of the chain connecting all three of us. The guide's only contribution is a nearly inaudible sigh I only catch because his face is so close to my ear. Bemelle and I nod knowingly at one another. Then we begin to run, fighting against the sunrise and our own exhaustion. The three on our feet continue running as hard as we can until the dock draws near. And we finally make it to the shore. I nearly vault my body as far away from the shoreline as possible before completely collapsing into the sand. The guide lets loose a deeply pained groan as he ends up being brought to the ground with me. He still takes the opportunity to gracelessly untangle himself from my hold. When I regain even the smallest modicum of strength, I dive my hand into one of my pouches and fetch the medicine we took from him. I offer the vial to the guide. He stares at it for a moment, and then at me. He silently accepts it. I look at him with my thoughts mixed. Should I apologize? Even if this is a part of the journey everyone was spared, the guide still suffered from our actions. While I ponder over what to do, the guide doesn't show the same lack of surety. He disregards my glances and downs the vial completely. His eyes slammed closed. Anything said to him would be unwanted, regardless of what it was. That much is clear. Assuming that he would prefer to finally have his own space returned, I push myself away. My joints creak, still burning from how much exertion they were forced to endure moments ago. The events that just unfolded flash before me. Suddenly, I feel myself being the one lifted. It's Bemelle, who holds me close to his chest. I hear him quietly sniffling above me. Aww, look at you two. I relax into Bemelle's embrace while wrapping my arms around his neck. Hot tears brim in the corner of my eyes, and I allow them to fall freely. Through this great emotion, he speaks quietly, more to himself than anyone else.
Thank God.
Yeah, you guys made it. The small statement makes it fully sink in that we reached the shore. We actually made it after everything. We're safe. I'm so overjoyed that he is here that the both of us made it together. We stay like this for as long as his worn state can manage. Even after placing me down, he never strays far. There is movement from the corner of my eye, and I notice that the guide is standing again. It is almost strange to see him behaving so normally, so distantly, after what we went through. He draws near to us, his cloak swaying in the morning wind with each step he takes.
It is time to leave this place. There is nothing left for you here.
Upon being addressed by him, I rise to my feet. He has a calm look in his face, though there is force behind his serenity. I open my mouth in an attempt to speak, however, I quickly realize I still have little idea of what to say. He is untrustworthy, but in the end, we were only able to cross because of him. And then the fog is removed from my thoughts. After everything that has happened, it becomes clear. I harden my face to match his serious disposition. There's something he's certainly right of. This lake isn't a place to linger. Going round and round in circles will never help. We cannot submit our lives for our minds to Sinnlos. What I must do if I truly want to defend others is keep them from coming here at all. When I return to my village, I intend to make that information acutely known to our elder. For that to happen, we must leave.
Goodbye.
His eyes narrow as he looks over me. I begin to feel uncomfortable under his scrutiny, but for a moment, I could swear I noticed him smiling slightly. However, it could be easily a trick of the morning sun. Bemelle smirks lightly to himself, refusing to truly acknowledge the guide. I make no complaints. This is likely for the best. Margaret steps over to us and regards the guide with a pointed expression.
This will be goodbye for us as well. I appreciate the opportunity you've graced me with. However, I won't be returning here.
So she must have told the guide her plans and what she had intended, but yeah, she is not going to be having any of this anymore. Just no. The guide offers no reaction to her statement. In fact, he says nothing at all. Instead, he simply turns on his heels and leaves us all alone once more. We make no attempt to stop him, watching him silently as he disappears into the landscape. It is painfully clear that no matter how meaningful this is for us, it is only another day in his life. Once the guide fully departs, Margaret frowns harshly.
This all seems so terribly sad.
Well, it is. It's the whole situation is terrible. The whole concept is terrible, and like the things that have happened are terrible, and that could have happened are all terrible. I regard the lake again. It is isolated and desolate, the mist still covering the surface like a suffocating rag. My thoughts darken as memories of Lou come flooding in. A warm, wide hand drapes over my shoulder and gives it a firm squeeze. I peer up to see Bemelle. He holds me in his gaze sympathetically.
We don't have to put all of this behind us, especially not right at this moment.
I stare at him silently, tongue-tied at his words. He gives me a comforting smile. The smile lingers for a bit before his expression promptly hardens.
I'm not sure I'm the same coming off the bridges as I was stepping onto them. It's something I'll always have to live with. That's all right, isn't it?
Well, that's life. Things happen, and we have to live with them and figure things out for ourselves and how we're going to continue through all of it. I stare at him tenderly.
Yes, it is.
This won't be the last time we face situations where lives are on the line. I understand that difficult decisions will need to be made. Still, I am not going to let anyone abandon someone else, if I can help it. I can always look for another way. After all, it's impossible that I could ever be the most logical person in the room. Someone else will stop too much recklessness from happening.
Well, if you're always around Kikka, that's always going to be the person to do it for you.
And then, occasionally, my focus on finding a solution to help all instead of accepting a painful reality will make a difference.
I feel tears incoming and manage a smile for him, heartbroken and joyful.
I think that's wonderful. And very much like you.
He smiles happily, though then takes on a bashful look.
Let me add that I don't want you to feel as though you personally need to make up for my idealism. I'm not your responsibility, and I'd like for you to be happy and honest about how you feel, and...
Come on, he's grown up. And, the two of them gotten pretty close now. He started rambling, so I cut him off before he can work himself up further.
Bemelle, you have never been my responsibility. You're my partner, and you don't have to worry about me either. I understand. As a pair, I take pride in how one is strong where the other is weak.
It's Bemelle. It sounds like she's proposing. Are you gonna say yes? Bemelle's eyes grow wet with tears of his own, and he grins ear to ear.
Kikka, thank you.
Thank you too.
Oh, these two. He wipes his damp eyes on his sleeve and chuckles self-consciously.
I hope that this means I'll be allowed to keep sharing your company from now on. It seems I've gotten used to seeing you each day.
I would love nothing more.
Oh. A warm sensation hovers between us. It means so much that we found what we each were missing in one another.
It truly is time for us to leave this place.
Bemelle stands a little taller.
That is music to my ears.
We turn around and walk away from the lake. Margaret notices and follows behind with no hesitation. I offer her a small smile, seeing her settle in step with me. Without looking back or stopping, I close my eyes and whisper beneath my breath, soft as a falling leaf. To all those left behind within the lake of Sinnlos, I offer one last reverent parting word.
Farewell.
I hurried to Hemmer as quickly as I could. I already failed to help another during my journey. I could not afford to fail the villagers. They were grateful to see me, for it was a desperate situation indeed. The urgency meant that my mind was occupied with other matters. I worked tirelessly to aid Hemmer's own guards in forcing back the brigadiers. But during the moments of calm, and when the sun went down, I would remember the lake. Bemelle was of great help during the fight. His outwardly positive demeanor lifted the spirits of many around him, but I could see from the shadows in his eyes that he hadn't forgotten what we went through. Rather than be paralyzed by it, he is pushing himself to be even stronger. I admire that about him, and I fully intend to support him the way he does for me. After putting Sinnlos behind her, Margaret explained where she was originally from, though she has no plans on returning. Despite leaving everything she knew, Margaret boldly looks toward the future. I respect her for her bravery, and I hope for nothing more than the best. Oh, so she did kind of like figure things out for herself. Good for you, Margaret. Good for you. Like, she is stronger than she gives herself credit for. When receiving payment for his services, the guide must give report of all those who both succeeded and failed to cross the lake. I was finally able to learn the name of the stranger we met on the bridges, Lou. As the guide predicted, he did not survive. He had requested to cross and been denied. He must have been truly desperate to attempt the crossing alone. I can only pray that those who cared for him will learn the truth of what happened. I have not heard nor seen the guide since then. He will remain obscured in that realm of fog and fear, a mysterious light off in the distance that is ever out of reach of the real world. As the task in Hemmer comes to a close, I mentally prepare myself to return home. I'm all too aware that things can never be as they were. What I know for certain is that my village elder must be told that no one is to cross Sinnlos again. I have already told the Hemmer leaders the same. Not a single more person should have to experience what we did. Its darkness will remain with me for the rest of my days. Though so much was lost, I believe that our lessons will keep others from suffering the same way, and, in the end, something will be gained. After we returned home, Bemelle adopted a wolf dog named Diedrich. He did not enjoy being alone at night, so soon after what we witnessed on Sinnlos, I could understand how he felt. I told him that I am there at any time if needed. Now, he along with Diedrich regularly make themselves at home in my cabin. I would be lying if I said it did not bring me comfort having him here. We still spar together and are often partnered for missions, meaning we spend most days together. It is incredible to still find fulfillment in these small joys, despite the pain and hardship. I will continue to do all I can to protect others, as well as the life I've come to love. Oh man, that is so cool. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't become a couple at the end, but I mean, dude, they got together, they got a lot closer. I guess maybe, like Kikka being the commander and all, it would be improper to continue their roles as guards and for her to be in a position of power and for them to be in a relationship. So maybe it makes sense. But I mean, you know, as someone who is digesting this media, it would have been nice for them to be a couple, to, you know, move forward, like actually coming to terms with their feelings for one another. So I can tell that this is the Bemelle good ending. So there must be a Margaret good ending, which I'm hoping to do soon. So, but I think what I'm going to do is, I don't think it matters what we do with the guide. So I'm going to use the earlier save, the first save, and go talk to the guide and see what happens from there. I'm going to assume that all the other choices that we've made along this way that I've made saves for are going to be deaths. So if that's not the case, please let me know, just so that I can go back and maybe we can see what happens. But I'm just right now I'm just going to assume that they're all deaths, and I'll just go back and do the guide and see where we go. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all over again and go through the run with Margaret-centric choices. And then we'll see what happens when we bring both Bemelle and Margaret and the guide to the center island. And then again, we choose to console Margaret and see what happens there. those are just a couple of my plans. Things may change, but just tentatively, that's what I plan on doing. But this recording has gone long, and or this session has gone long. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these 2 videos that were put together that I've created in as far as my recording files, but you will have found out by this time. I hope that you've enjoyed this run, and I hope that you are looking forward to more, because I plan on bringing more just as soon as I get a chunk of time. I will say that this entire run through has taken me about 3 or 4 hours, and it's tough to get this much time together to sit down and do a recording and just go through a run. So I don't know if it's going to continue to be like that, but please don't expect another Lake of Voices video immediately. I will try to get them as quickly as I can, but it's just so difficult to find so much time at once. But if you are enjoying it, and from the analytics on these videos, the Lake of Voices videos, it seems like you guys really enjoy these videos, so I will try to bring more of them to you as I'm able to find time. But I really appreciate that everybody is watching them multiple times in some instances, and I hope that you come back for the next one. I've been so enjoying these runs, and I hope that you are enjoying watching me enjoy them, or even enjoy them for the first time for yourself. But I hope that you'll join me for the next one, and I hope to see you there. And until then, everyone, bye.